Good morning, Commissioner Henry. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay, we can't hear you. I was worried about that.
Oh, okay, the minutes? I think she wants to see.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Good morning, Commissioner Strand.
No, she wasn't present on the meeting, but anyway, the motion for adjournment was by her, so she had to came in after we did the roll call. So she-
We have more, I don't know if anybody's gonna have a question about it, but we have more administrative closures this time than we've had before, so I'm just gonna.
How much was the surgery? You say you had heart operations. How much was that?
Oh, it was 13 years ago. I think I total out of my pocket was like $100.
Yeah, I mean, surgery back then was like 45,000, I think, something like that.
Well, when I went into the surgery, I thought I was gonna have 3 bypasses.
Yeah,
When I came out, the doctor told me I had 7.
yeah.
And you know what my question was? Did you charge me anymore? He
I hear
said,
you.
we can only charge for 5,
I hear you.
but best thing I ever did.
Yeah, and like I said, me getting sick like I did, I thought it was a negative. And the doctor told me, he said, you may not believe this. He said, you are really healthy. He
And
said,
lucky. Wow.
yeah, and lucky. He said, my blood pressure is now all the time about
I mean, I'll be
115.
around by then, it's my turn in and.
Like 110 to 115 over.
Over, mine's over 65 or
I
7.
was trying to figure out why he did these turns the way that he did.
He said, "You're lucky."
Endorses is whether he was expecting it in his last year. So
I think we, yeah, I'll check before I let my door.
And I've been able to do my finances. I taught finance for 30 years,
Hey, this, where did you teach?
3 states. I got my doctorate at UK. My doctoral distinction in finance. So I worked for UK. I got a pension from UK. I worked for there 10 years. Then I worked for the community college system, 32 years. I worked for Brushville 5.
County.
I worked a lot of places.
So this,
You got a pretty good income.
yeah, I had problems.
I'm not on welfare.
Nothing I got here, good answer.
There was nothing in my house. Nothing. But when I left work yesterday, it's a flurry.
I was state legislator. That I did for just short of 20 years.
Any damn.
The city commissioner.
Took me back.
Here today, Commissioners Wertz, Stringer, and Henry. We're waiting on one more person to get a quorum. So right now we don't have a quorum. So in some parts of Louisville, there's snow, so we'll see whether or not the
Yeah.
snow, people are being delayed because of that.
No, my wife was hit. My wife had a bad heart,
Sleep with the door in case.
and I put 45,000 to the side to make sure I could cover everything. She died of cancer.
Yes. Here.
He was gonna knock it.
Supposed to appear. He's not here.
Give a couple of more minutes and we'll go to those parts that don't require a vote. So Commissioner Worth, how are things in northern Kentucky?
Well, there's no snow, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's cold as the dickens, but other than that, we're still plodding along. We changed the name of Children's Home of Northern Kentucky. It's now One Quest Health, and we've been working on putting together a parent company with subsidiaries, and it's been some exciting growth. We're probably going to have around 7,000 client impacts for abused and neglected kids in state's custody and other youth who are in precarious situations, and probably going to hit around 50,000 treatment services this year. So it's keeping us busy. Of course, our biggest concern in taking care of the populations we serve who are primarily on Medicaid are all of the changes that are happening at the state and federal level regarding Medicaid cuts. So that has been an incredibly nerve-wracking exercise for us right now as we try to decide how we're going to sustain ourselves in light of these major shifts.
Yeah, it's interesting times within which we live.
Yes,
It's an understatement.
yes.
Okay, two more commissioners to join us. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, like the confirmation of notice, public notice from the executive director.
Public notice was sent and we do have a quorum.
Okay. And as it relates to public participation, we were originally informed that there was an individual who was going to be here. And this is the section of the agenda where public participation is planned and allowed, and he's not here, so we shall move on. First action item is the consideration and approval of minutes of the November 20th meeting.
Jim Glenn, I suggest the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay, as it relates to those minutes, no, I have given to our administrative assistant a number of changes and corrections to those minutes. She has the copy with my markup on it. So I would ask that your motion, Commissioner Glenn, include those changes that I have already conveyed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so all those in favor of approval of the minutes as with the noted changes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and Tony, you cannot participate if we cannot see you.
All right.
Okay?
Can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you. We see something.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's as good as it's gonna get.
Okay, thank you. Next, we move to sections report. The first up is the executive director.
Good morning and happy new year to all of you all. To start out, I wanted to let you know that we have resumed regular contact with our federal partners, HUD and EEOC. So we are continuing to work with them. We've participated last month in a meeting with all FEPAs with EEOC regarding our contracts and our funding, et cetera. So we are back on track with our federal partners. Juan and I had sent, upon your request, we had sent out an email to human rights commissions surrounding Kentucky. We only received 2 responses. One from West Virginia, who said that they weren't having any type of issues as it pertained to national origin, ICE, or any of those issues. However, Illinois said that they are experiencing pretty much what everybody else is experiencing throughout the country. But they also invited us to participate in a meeting of human rights commissions throughout the nation. So we had staff led by Juan Pena who participated in that meeting. And from that meeting and from our contacts with Illinois, we have been connected with Minnesota. And we're pending, right now, we're looking for a date. As you know, they're having issues right now. But Minnesota Commissioner Rebecca Lucera Lucero has agreed to meet with us. She's excited about it. And she's gonna call and talk to us about the issues that they're facing regarding national origin. And then Juan will also give you a extended update about that issue as well.
Since it's back on the HUD part of there, they said HUD is now gonna be start back sending us inquiries. They had stopped sending those.
Yes, they had they said that they weren't gonna send them. We didn't receive any, that was because they were shut down.
Okay, so
Okay, so, but now they are sending us,
Okay.
they're back sending us, housing cases. There's 34 cases that were submitted since the last commission meeting. 20 were employment, 10 were housing, and 4 were public accommodations. Of the 20 employment cases, 10 were no probable cause, 1 was a conciliation, 4 were withdrawn with settlement, 3 were withdrawn without settlement, and 2 were administrative closures. Of the 10 housing cases, 4 were no probable cause, 3 were withdrawn with settlement, and 3 were administrative closures. And then there were 4 public accommodation cases, and each one of those were closed as no probable cause. I wanted to let you know that as previously reported, we met with the Lexington Human Rights Commission and the Louisville Human Relations Commission the first part of November, just to understand where we all have contracts with EEOC and HUD. We are all doing the same thing, and we just kind of want to meet up and discuss best practices. And so we have decided that we will do that quarterly. The next meeting will be in Lexington, and it will be on February the 2nd. So staff will be participating in that meetup as well. Wanted to just bring to the forefront that the intake, education, and outreach staff plans to identify 1 or 2 African-American leaders in Kentucky to include in the Galley of Great Black Kentuckians. We do have some ideas, but please contact us if you have individuals that you feel and know should be recognized and honored. We will also be starting the series of newcomer Kentuckians, and that's designed to recognize immigrants and refugees that have contributed to civil rights in Kentucky. And all of this is in our 2026 work plan. And I have sent this morning to all of you, and also there's hard copies here, a copy of the draft work plans, and I invite and encourage you to give us any questions, suggestions, information that you would like as it pertains to that work plan. Also within the 2026 work plan, just to let you know that we will be having the Kentucky Civil Rights Hall of Fame induction ceremony this year. A location has not been determined. We will start seeking nominations in March. Would be the start of us seeking nominations. We will be reaching out heavily to our local commissions, encouraging them to nominate someone in their areas so that we have a statewide representation. And so again, we are looking for possible ideas and suggestions for a location for that event. I am open to any questions that you may have.
any questions for Cynthia from commissioners?
The regional meetings you're, excuse me, the regional meetings you're gonna be having with the Human Rights Commissions / whatever Louisville calls theirs, the Human Relations
Yeah.
Commission.
Mhm.
Would commissioner participation be helpful for that? Because if you're gonna be moving where it is around the Commonwealth, there's a couple of us ideally everywhere.
Yeah, basically, it's the people that, it's the commissions that have enforcement powers, right? And so, yeah, so it's Louisville, Lexington, and, yeah, Louisville,
That's Louisville,
Lexington, and
Lexington,
us,
okay.
yeah. So we're just gonna rotate that. However, Juan will give you some information. They will be reaching out, to local commissions as well, not for this meetup, but for other events to encourage their participation. We also have a few local commissions that are not active. And so we'll be working this year also to encourage reactivation, and definitely we would love to have commissioners also participate in those efforts as far as encouraging them to the leaders in various cities and counties to not only appoint commissioners, but to make sure that it stays active, funded. So we'll be sending out letters to encourage
Okay.
them to do.
Well, I'm all over the Commonwealth all the time. Any way I can help, please let me know. Just one question for Juan. I'm not sure if you're gonna cover this in your report. Was there a takeaway from the meeting you went to with Illinois?
Which meeting? I'm sorry.
The virtual
The
meeting
virtual meeting about
with all the.
common problems with,
I would, yes.
You're gonna
Yeah,
cover that,
I
okay.
covered that part, yes.
perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions for Cynthia? None, let's go to budget and personnel. Brandon.
Good morning. Have my report. In October, I believe it was, we were advised by the Office of Policy Management, State Budget Director, that we had to prepare a budget reduction plan for the remainder of this fiscal year, extending into next fiscal year. We had to do two different plans, one for 2% and one for 3%. The governor did announce that we are going with the 3% plan. This is after the consensus forecasting group met and revised the revenue estimates. I didn't include it in this report because I was waiting for some official communication or change in the appropriation in the emerged accounting system. As of this morning, it has happened. So just wanted to let you know, we do have a plan of a 3% budget reduction for the remainder of this fiscal year, extending into next fiscal year. But it's still marked draft, so probably don't want to, they told supposed to leave it as draft. So I'll probably don't want to discuss it at this time since it's not been finalized. And we are, there is a budget bill out there that basically mirrors the governor's budget proposal, and still waiting on additional bills. I would expect something in the next week or so. Take any questions at this time?
Any questions for Brandon?
Will there be I'm sorry, this is Jim Glenn. Will there be a cut at the federal level at all? But it seems like they're cutting everything. I mean, like HUD.
Yeah.
Is anybody else cutting?
I don't know. HUD has cut a couple things. I don't know, nothing that I've heard of with case processing,
Okay.
but some of the other grants, I believe we have been told that we should not expect them. I don't think we've heard anything about the administrative costs. That's the one I like because it's just kind of money they give us for to cover our administrative costs. So hoping we get to keep that. Other than that, I couldn't speak on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, other questions? Brandon, in looking at the our expenditure pattern, towards the year, we're about 10% under budget. Which would lead me to think that the vacant position that we have, we should be able to fill, is even given what the governor announced 2-3 weeks ago.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Brandon? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for that. Let's move to enforcement, Cedric.
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. First time seeing the commissioners. I want to start out with give a little snapshot of what happened in 2025. So in 2025, we closed a total in the enforcement branch, 251 cases in 2025. Those do not include cases that were closed in mediation prior to it leaving. That does not include cases that went and were caused as well. Doesn't include those cases. It only includes cases that were submitted for closure within the enforcement branch, 251 cases. I want to thank the staff because really you had 3 consistent investigators that whole year of last year. And I want to thank them and the people that came on. I want to thank them as well for coming in and getting the ball rolling and getting started. So more of that could have been done if I had a full staff, which I do have now, which is a great thing. I do have it now as far as 6. I could always use more. That's another conversation for another time, but I could always use more to do the work we have. So there were 3 protected classes. 3 of the highest 3 protected classes that when we closed it out in enforcement was disability, race, and sex. With disability being 107 of the cases involving disability. That was the highest one within the enforcement was disability. So I just want to throw that out there, those numbers as far as a snapshot of 2025 investigation, and also how many cases we closed in the enforcement.
How do we get people who are elected representatives in Frankfurt to understand that what you just said is that the vast majority of our cases are in fact disability cases? They're so hung up on a 4-letter word that they can't see straight.
Yeah, I wish I knew the task, but if you're listening, disability is our biggest protected class. We protect and we investigate all classes, but disability is the highest one we see.
And it has been for some time.
It has been for some time now. It's the highest one we see, 107 out of 251. And it could have been more if I had more investigators. Pivoting to the report, if you can see, if you've looked at the report, the cases, especially in employment and public accommodation, are high. Those caseloads are very high. One person by themselves has 107 cases currently on their caseload. And some of that can be, to be honest with you, a lot of that is cases that were piled up on them. They're working hard and as fast as they can to do thorough investigations. We will complete thorough investigations no matter the caseload, no matter the pressure put upon us. I can say that, and I'm pretty sure my investigators will back me up on that. But it's high. We're working diligently to bring it down. Now, I do want to be clear too that some of those case numbers are cases that have been submitted, just have been closed out of ARC yet. So there are some of these numbers will go away even before new cases are turned in, because some of them have to wait that 14-day period before they can be closed to give a person a chance to do a reconsideration. So that I just want to be clear on that number. So the number is what it looks at right now, but it could be less next week after that's done. But I did want to make that clear that the investigators are doing the best they can. Caseloads are high, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, meaning that cases should go down as far as intake goes. When I say intake, I don't mean intake, because intake's the problem, actually. They're working too hard over there at intake. And they're doing too much, but it should go down in the sense, because some of these cases are cases that piled up throughout a time frame, and hopefully that does not happen again. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that on. But you can look at the report. Some case ages that went high, but once again, there are some cases that are not accounted for because of the 14-day period. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're looking at, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. So now I want to talk about, before I have.
That's a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Disabilities. What percentage of our work is disability? Since that's the major part, what percentage is it? I'm just a curiosity question.
So if you take, I guess just based off my numbers, if you took 107 and divided it by 251, that gives you that percentage of that as far as this goes. Overall agency, like I said, this does not include cases that closed out in mediation, which we didn't get to enforcement, or cases that we PC, which means we did not close the case out. So it does not include that. So my numbers only include what enforcement did, and we submitted closing documentation to close that case out.
42.6%.
So 42.6%.
Google's really good.
Got it. Yeah, that's just what I got in number 42.6. Okay.
Yes.
All the computers agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so that would be that as far as what we close out overall.
But I got another curiosity question. We have to turn in a 3% budget reduction. Why don't we put a footnote in? This reflects 42.3% of our money is impacted by the disabilities or disability.
That I don't know.
I mean, I know if you put it in as a footnote. You want the legislators, some people actually read the reports.
We know you did when you were there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and then, like I said, if anybody's listening, more investigators will be appreciated as far as any budget concerns from the legislator. Because this is important work. We really do a lot investigating these cases. We're impartial, so we're not, advocating in a sense in the enforcement aspect, but we do a lot. And I'm saying right now, more money would be appreciated in regards to investigators and getting out there and making sure these cases are done even more timely. They're going to be thorough no matter what. So that's not going to ever be an issue. But timeliness, as far as getting them out even quicker than what we do, and they do a good job getting them out as fast as they get them out. And that's the great thing about my investigators. They do a great job getting them out as fast as they do with so many cases, with handling complaints, issues, and things like that with complainants, with the respondents, with witnesses, so on and so forth. So that's that part as far as that goes. I'm gonna move on now to some of the new requirements that took place. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna move on to some of the new requirements that came with the 2025-2026 agreement with HUD. So with HUD, there was nothing new with EEOC as far as a requirement really went, nothing changed there. As far as we had to complete 95% of all cases that carried over from 2025 and back previous, we had to complete 95% closure. Right now, we're at 31 cases that carried over currently. Some
The time period, because it's the case process.
Oh, the case process year, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The case processing year is July 2025 to June 30th of 2026. These cases were filed before July 1st, 2025. So these cases could carry over from a year ago, 2 years ago. In June, they were filed right before July 2025. We have 31 cases right now that are open prior to July 1st of 2025. Some cases of these that are on this list, I have already have on my desk to review for closure. Now, the reason why it's about 3 on my desk right now.
Okay.
The reason why I didn't put a percentage on this one, because I know you asked for a percentage for this one. I did not, because I'm expecting to have all this closed by the time we get to June 30th of 2026. That's the goal. Now, it's ambitious, but I think you can do it, honestly. I do think it can be done. And like I said, a lot of investigators are working hard, the housing ones are working hard. I'm not gonna say their names because I try to refrain from saying names in here, but they are working hard on that one. So that's that. 31 cases that carry over. We're hoping, and I ain't gonna say we're hoping, we're going to work to have all those closed by the time we get to June of 2026, June 30th, 2026. I forget the 95, that's gonna work as well, but the idea is 100% gone. No more cases. Hopefully no more cases by June that filed before July 1st of 2025. Now I'm gonna get to the other one, which is closing 100 cases. And this is 100 cases of the cases that were filed between June 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Closing 100%, not 100, I'm sorry. 75% of those cases are to be closed within a 100-day period. That's going to be a hard task, I'm gonna be honest with you, as far as the number of cases and stuff like that. But I can give you the numbers right now. Right now, since July 1st of 2025, we've had 34 cases housing. Now, this is housing only. What I've been talking about is housing only. Well, I'm not talking about employment or public accommodation. That number would jump up. But 34 cases were filed in housing alone since July 1st of 2025. Out of those 34 cases, 16 have been closed. So 47% of that 34 has been closed since it was filed in July 1st of 2025. Out of those cases, out of the 16, 15 of those, and I give credit to the investigators, were closed under 100 days. And that's 44% of the 34 has been closed in 100 days. Now, here's the other part. 7 of those 34 cases have already surpassed 100 days. So 20% right now of the cases filed are already over 100 days. So that's a percentage as far as that goes. I wanted to give y'all that. I know the chair asked for that. Right. So I want to give y'all a snapshot. And it's going to be hard with the number of cases to get to that 100. I think we can do it. I'm working with the investigators. We're doing the best we can to get that number, to make sure we reach that 75%. But right now, we're at 20% already of 34 cases filed over 100 days. And I have some cases that are on the block that to go out that should be under those 100 days. So that's my report. I think I've covered everything I want to cover. So, do I have any questions?
Questions for Cedric?
Do we have a short form report showing these numbers? And if we don't have one, could we make one?
You talking about to give out to y'all? Give out
I'm
to-
saying to give out to state legislators
I
as they're
created it.
discussing budget.
I created it, but I don't, yeah, I guess, yeah, we have one.
I've created one in the past, for sure. I think for 2024.
If we have something simple that has those numbers, that has the span of what we do.
I think
We have our
Uh,
annual report.
that's true.
Yeah. our
So an
annual report
annual-
that we did.
I know people read everything you give them, I'm sure, every page of it.
Mhm.
But if we had something short and to the point that made that argument, the chairman said, get people to see past the little 4-letter word they don't like.
Right.
I think that could be very helpful. And as I routinely interact with state legislators, I'd love to be able to hand them this and say, this is what, when you see the 4 letters KCRH, that's what this is. When you see that in a budget line, et cetera.
I think we struggle getting before them. I think we've asked them many times, in responding to different requests here and there, that saying, we'd love to come showcase the work. But I think we're a bit disconnected. So I think that's where the commissioners could help get us up there.
We're glad to.
Have we gotten any replies to all the data information we submitted?
Yeah.
Cedric, you anticipated my one question, which is at the top of your report, is that you did present that. I like what you presented. I like to see that as a sheet in the
Okay,
book, so that we'll have that. Because what I want to do is, from a commission standpoint, is to track it so we know what's going on. I guess to Commissioner Littman's question or thing, no, sometimes they don't respond to the request that you want to present to them. But we, I think with our annual report, which we do know based on at least the request we got 6 months ago, somebody looked and said your annual report has been missing for the last couple of years. So somebody looking at it is maybe we do something simpler in terms of a letter from the commission signed by all of the commissioners to the state legislators, giving them these numbers and making the point about the percentage of cases that are disability, and this is what the volume looks like. Sort of a preemptive strike in terms of where we are. But it's got to be something simple, because I think if you give them a page with numbers on it, they'll go right to the numbers. If you add some verbiage to it, they won't read it at all. But just think about that. I think our annual report is good. It gives the detail and the information. The question is, how do we make it simpler for folks who we want them to read and understand? Just think about that. Any other questions for Cedric?
I just wanted to offer commendations for great work that's taking place in enforcement. Keep it up.
Okay, thank you. Education and outreach, go on.
Good morning, commissioners. You have my report before you. I would like to add a few things just to share with you. So first, Ms. Cynthia Fox mentioned about the Kentucky Civil Rights Hall of Fame. So sometimes the end of February or early March, we would send a press release inviting the public to submit nominations, and hopefully have the Civil Rights Hall of Fame ceremony either in October or November. So we're having ample time to plan. Also, she also mentioned about the series of posters of the great newcomer Kentuckians, for those individuals who have shown or have spent time advocating for the refugees and immigrants' rights and help them to integrate into the society. So we already have a date for that. It's on the report. That's April the 30th, 2026. We'll be here in Louisville. We have already met with the director or the chair of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in Louisville, and they have graciously agreed to partner with us or allow us to do the first unveiling of the posters for Mr. Ben Ruiz. He's a person who passed away a year and a half ago, but he did a lot for the community.
Given the bill that was introduced in the Kentucky General Assembly this week, do we need to do this earlier?
I guess it's possible. We were hoping to tag along or work with a group who already work with the communities. So this Chamber of Commerce, they have an annual event.
Right.
With great turnout. But again,
only reason I ask that is the bill that says a naturalized citizen cannot be elected to office in the Commonwealth of Kentucky is sort of short-sighted, foolish, and a little stupid on my part. And we got people who are making major contributions to the community and doing things.
yes.
We got to figure out how we be preemptive in terms of some things.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up that topic. I think that was a news that came out early this week or last week. Okay, so also I'd like to share with you the statistics of the inquiries and that we received 2025, and also the complaints of that the staff wrote or drafted in 2025. So you have a handout, and for those commissioners who are online, I emailed to you the numbers. So I'm just gonna touch briefly about this. So in 2025, we received a total of 1,892 inquiries. That includes phone calls, emails, letters, people who go online, and so on. So this is the numbers, and this is the numbers that we actually have. The inquiries are recorded. There's a way for us to show. So of that number, we have 995 employment, 365 are housing, 347 is public accommodation, and 78 financial transaction. And the rest, if you see the column here on column F, road 21, you see 107 inquiries, email inquiries. Sometimes we receive general emails that has been CC'd to the commission and related to topics that's way outside the scope of the commission. Can be immigration, can be the issue of other states and so on. But we keep those, we respond to them or send an email back, and then we keep a record or records. Then below the numbers, you will see the percentage. I would not go every single one of them, but just give an example. For example, of all the inquiries, 53% is related to employment. 19 is related to housing, 18 public accommodation, and financial transaction. I think it's one thing it's important to know this is that in financial transactions, complaints or charges that we have written are actually fall under the fair housing, because for some reason in the federal fair housing laws includes financial transactions, but in the state laws they have their own section. So this is the reason that we have 78 inquiries, but again, we keep a number of those complaints. Of these numbers, the staff wrote 484 complaints. These are the complaints, the inquiries that met the jurisdiction or the prima facie for us to prepare or draft complaints. Again, I have the numbers there for each area. So for example, 328 were employment, 115 were housing, 40 were public accommodation, and we had one financial transaction. Financial transaction has to be related to mortgage or any home. It can be equity for a house or equity loan, I'm sorry, or anything that has to be related to mortgage. There's a percentage right there. The last page of the numbers is the return rate of complaints that we prepare. So when we establish jurisdiction in the inquiry, we get all the information that we need. We prepare the complaint, we send it to the complainant for the complainants to review, sign it, have a notarize, and return back to us. So not all the complaints that we write and send them are returned. So in 2025, we received back 351 complaints and charges. Just for your information, HUD used the term complaints for the charges or for the complaints. The EEOC uses charges, and HUD just remind us it's a complaint, it's a complaint. So we have to kind of learn that it's a complaint, and EEOC, it's a charge. But anyway, so it's 365, 351 total. And you can see the percentage there below there. So as overall, of all the complaints that we have prepared and written, the return rate is 73%. We believe that that's we can increase it a little bit more. But the reason some of the complaints are not returned is because of the complainants have already addressed the issue with their employers or their landlord. Some of them just say, well, I don't want to move forward with this one. It's time consuming. And so on. There can be others who just don't respond at all. Okay. So those are the numbers. And I would like to thank to the staff. They have been working hard with these complaints. We have received an increase of inquiries. As you may know, that HUD has cut their staff in the intake unit about 50%. The EEOC as well. I believe that the EEOC has a backlog, so that's trickling down the inquiries to the commission. So in our last meeting, we had Dr. Warren, director for the Missouri Commission on Human Rights, and she mentioned about the hate program in LA, Los Angeles. So we did some research and I found some information I emailed to you, but I think it's a coalition that track and find solution way how they can address those hate incidents that's happening in their area. So as I can talk more a little bit about that, what we have done, but as a follow-up with that, she also mentioned about the coalitions. And so we met with the Illinois Department of Human Rights. They had quite a few of their staff. They had a deputy director, they had a public affairs and a legal counsel and a senior policy advisor. And we learned a great deal about them. They're way, in terms of laws they have that they enforce. I mean, they have quite a few additional protected classes that we don't have. For example, about national origin related to immigration status. So from there, we learned that they have a group, a coalition, they call it the Cross-State Civil Rights Agency Working Group. It's a coalition of human rights, or state human rights commissions, and other FIPAs or Fair Employment Practices agencies. For example, we are FIPA, the Louisville Metro Human Rights Commission, the Lexington Human Rights Commissions are FIPAs, and also anyone who has contract with HUD. But this is a group that they share information, and I was very surprised. It's a group that really look into what the federal government is doing, and they talk. So they covered two topics in this particular meeting on January the 8th. One is they talk about this I forgot the term of disparate impact. What's the other disparate impact? No, the disparate impact is where a landlord, or I'm sorry, housing provider or an employer or respondent in general may have a policy that sounds neutral, looks neutral, but when we start enforcing it, affects the specific group of people based on their protected class. So they're talking about that most states don't have, they're not very clear about these disparate impact laws. And it's hard because you have to show the intent of that policy. if there's no intent, again, it's tough. So you have this organization that advocate, how can we advocate for laws in the state and also maybe the federal. But they also talk about the changes, what's happening with the EOC and their policies. And there's and they have an attorney on staff. So in this meeting, they had quite a few people from the New York Human Rights Commission, and also they had an attorney talk about some of the changes that's happening in EOC and trying to find ways. They're getting ready in case something comes up that they can follow up with their lawsuit or what they need to do. For example, that with the contract, I believe that one of the local Human Rights Commission share its experience with the EOC that they had declined to continue with these contracts because they're not aligned with their policies. And so there was a discussion, can they do that? Again, that's the question. And this is the group that really kind of collect information and see how they can defend, I guess, their contracts and their work to advance
So
the.
are they sharing broadly the results of their research and things? Because, by executive order, the President of the United States instructed ELC not to sue cases where they based on disparate impact.
And that's the issue. Yes, they're looking into to see what's the legal ways they can challenge that. I guess that's the right way to legal. Yes.
So share that with us.
They will share with us. I think they will share with us. I will seek more information, follow up, and I think that's they went in this meeting. They went deep enough. Next time I will invite Cole and Cedric and Cynthia Fox. It was very deep enough. So I have Karen right there, staff is like, "Ooh, it was way beyond me." They used lingo language, and probably Cole kind of break it down for us. But we're just in the elementary level here. But it was good. It was a very learning experience. So those are about the meetings. Now, about in my email I sent to you, we talk about hate crime task force. So in 2005, 2007, during Mr. Johnson's time here, had started the KCHR hate crimes task force, and it was just a coalition of law enforcement agencies, including the Kentucky State Police and local human rights commissions, and just to gather together quarterly or every 6 months and find out ways how to make sure that every possible hate crime incidents are reported and follow up with appropriate agency. And I know that Mary Ann Taylor, our former education outreach supervisor, restarted this one in 2020. They had a meeting and they had quite a few participants. But since then, the commission has not had a meeting because we have been busy with other work. But if that's something that we can look into, we can restart it, at least meet once a year or once every 6 months. Because I know that our staff it's loaded with work, and sometimes we don't want to commit so much that we stretch so thin.
Right. I guess, have there been any other groups in the state who have reached out looking for sharing anything as it relates to, well, we need to do something more in this area? I know our last 2 meetings here, we've talked about what we've been seeing in terms of how immigration enforcement has played out in this particular impact. But I'm just thinking, whether there's an appetite for that. And again, I share your concern in terms of with the minimal staff that we have, how much more can we realistically take on or be involved in? Or can we be a person that calls them all together and everybody else let the other folks do the work?
We could explore. Yeah, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's any organization that is taking the lead this one, but something that the commission can organize.
I'm always happy to give Juan more to do. He's not so busy as it is, running everywhere. But there is certainly no one else doing this, and I think that when Supervisor Special Agent Passmore came here from the FBI, there seemed to be a willingness from her office to be involved in something like this. I feel very comfortable saying that Lawrence Weathers in Lexington, the chief of police in Lexington, who was excellent, would very happily be involved in this. I would hope LMPD would too, and several other organizations. I think that there would be interest if we had the resources to restart this. And I don't think it would need that much involvement from us because we don't keep track of hate crimes. That's not within our agency to do. But to increase the conversation about it, if we don't have them talk about it, they're not going to come up with a conversation on their own. It'll never occur to them. If there's a way commissioners could help with this, I'd be happy to. But I think restarting this, especially now, especially with the increased risks we're seeing, I think could be a very positive step.
Yeah, I can put something together and then we can have it for March or April and send an email to all the commissioners so they can just pick up a location, date, and invite as many groups as we can and go from there.
Also, as we're seeking at the beginning of this year more ways to get the commissioners involved, we have commissioners from all over the Commonwealth. If they can reach out to law enforcement agencies in their area and encourage them to be involved here, I think that could take some of the weight off the staff of having to arrange that. We have this big, beautiful conference room to host things in. I don't know. I just think that I think it was a good idea 10 years ago. It was a good idea 5 years ago. Still a good idea today.
I agree. Let me see here. Now we will make it happen. Let me see if anything else I have here. I think that's everything I have. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Any additional questions for Juan?
Just one. Was there any actual pragmatic takeaway from the meeting with Illinois?
With me, the Illinois, no, just a general, no.
Okay.
No. Yes.
Well, I thought the answer would be, but I was okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't have a question, but I wanted to say, as far as desperate impact cases, as far as investigation is concerned, we haven't done a desperate impact investigation since I've been back. Those are hard cases,
Right.
Because you have to ask for a lot of data, and you know those are hard cases. But I'm just saying that we haven't done them since I've been back.
I think
Maybe 2
you and
years.
Colton, all those University of Louisville law student clerks that are gonna come and work for us and work with us, you know, that's the kind of thing that the young, eager, soon to be trained lawyers to get their teeth into.
We haven't had one though. We haven't had a complaint come through in our vote. Yeah, about that.
I will say it's not U of L, so I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone in the room. But in 2 weeks is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we're hosting John Rosenberg at the Rosenberg Law School in UK. The intention of Holocaust education is not a history lesson, it's a morality lesson. And I would be very comfortable just mentioning it's at the law school, mentioning to the law school students that if they're looking for interning hours or volunteering hours, etc., if there was some kind of informational thing I could put on the table or something or speak about, I'd be very happy to offer that to them.
To whom? Our students?
To law students at UK who might want to be involved in some kind of volunteering basis. I don't know what options there are there, but
Yeah, I don't have any connections over there, so I wouldn't know either.
okay. Well, I could explore that when I'm speaking there in 2 weeks. I'd be happy to explore that.
You're raising a question of back right after COVID, University of Kentucky Law School sponsored a legal seminar with a group, Jewish group out of New York City, that talked about, it was really about Hitler's rise
Mhm.
and how the law failed and enforced it. You know who that group
I-
was?
I could look it up pretty quickly. I was there. I spoke to them when they came. I do not remember the name off the top of my head.
No,
I
and the
remember
reason
nothing
the
since
reason
COVID.
I raised that is what they, what they outlined in terms of the rise in Germany from a historical perspective in terms of what's happening seems to be a mirror image of what is taking place in parts of this country right now. And I think it is very important, very educational, and I think that information is worth putting out into the community, or at least they I don't know whether they were out of the Holocaust Museum or wherever the group was, but I said they did an excellent job in terms of laying out from how the legal structure failed, and as a result of it gave rise to what came afterwards.
Yeah, well, the comparison doesn't yet hold up. It is troubling, and like I said, it's a morality lesson, not a history lesson. It's what we should do, not what happened. I can follow up with you on,
Okay.
yeah, follow up with you on who that was.
Cedric, I forgot to ask you when you were getting your report, in your report, where does the data for cases that go, every case that comes in now has it has potential to go to mediation before it goes anywhere else, right?
That's
So
what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to figure out how do we get a report in terms of what's happening in the mediation realm?
Currently, cases are not going to mediation. Before Sana left, it was determined that the cases would go straight to the enforcement unit for investigation. So while we don't have mediation, we do have conciliation within the mediation unit. Within the enforcement unit.
How we track it?
His staff tracks each conciliation.
So kind of be similar to, you mostly heard about conciliation in housing, mostly where you heard about that at, but conciliation can take place in in employment as well, and public accommodation. It can take place, but mostly it was really leaned to housing because we were doing mediation with enforcement. So that talk of trying to resolve the matter was being done already prior to an investigator getting it. So we focused on the investigation and as opposed to conciliation, since mediation, and we could always give it back to mediation as well. So it always was, mediation was kind of the conciliation in a sense at that.
But
They're two different things, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
they're two different things, conciliation, mediation, two different things, but I'm just saying that's kind of how it was done.
They're different mainly in that mediation is confidential,
Yes.
conciliations are.
Well, mediation results in withdrawal typically.
Yes.
That's the difference.
And sometimes we still get cases where we didn't do it, but some of the recent cases that have been turned in, where the respondent and the complainant come to an understanding, they have their own private resolution, or whoever helped mediate it, and then they withdraw it. So still that happens as well.
Hmm.
It's just, we don't call it mediation when we do it, it's just close it out, but it's the same concept.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out how do we, and from a commission standpoint. No, we'll talk about it offline. We'll talk about it. Any other questions for Juan? Thank you for that detailed report, Juan. Thank you for the outreach you've done to
Yeah, welcome.
to California and to the group in Illinois.
Yeah, welcome.
Move to the legal unit. Cole.
Good morning. You have my report. At the bottom of the report, I want to get to. Sorry.
Want to do the executive session now or?
No, we went.
Okay.
When we go to the case, I want to talk about the reg updates first.
Okay.
As you know, we filed 2 regulatory updates after we had to change our posters. Okay, we filed an emergency regulation and an ordinary regulation. They were identical. As is the course, the emergency regulation goes into effect immediately, but you still have to go before the administrative regulation review subcommittee. I did that in December. There were no questions. It remains in effect. Still going through the process though is the ordinary regulation. So this regulation requires that certain places post certain things. In housing, those providers have to post notices. Let me pull up the regulation. Equal employment opportunity notices, employers, employment agencies, and the like are supposed to post a poster. Same as public accommodations and in housing. Important because at the committee stage, there was a staff suggested amendment by LRC. Currently, the language says, shall post notices such as the equal employment opportunity poster. The staff suggested amendment would remove such as and leave it at the equal employment opportunity poster. So the question I have for the commission is whether or not we want to leave such as in the regulation, which in my view would allow for notices similar to that we produce, or remove it, requiring that businesses, places that provide housing, and businesses post specifically the material incorporated by reference. Now, some legislative history, at least the regulatory history, it appears that such as language came up in 2023 during the Joe era when Joe made some regulatory changes. The last amendment before that was in 1993, and in that regulation, the same regulation, it existed. It was changed a little bit, but it did not include the such as language. So I asked for a deferral. We were supposed to go before the committee in January. I asked for a deferral so you guys could have the discussion whether or not to remove such as language. And if you need copies of this to discuss the next meeting, we can ask for another deferral. It's no problem at all to do that as far as the LRC is concerned.
So what's your legal opinion?
My opinion is you should leave it as it is. I don't know if it's a legal opinion more than it is just a correct common sense opinion. Because I think if you restrict it to specific things, one, how can we police it? Two, I think that there are some older notices maybe that would comply with the reg if posted. Of course, the flip side would be if they're not required to post what we incorporate into the regulation, we don't know what they're posting. But again, how do we police that to begin with?
Reaction, commissioners.
I think that we should have whatever language provides most flexibility for us. Sometimes you need more flexibility. If you took the such as out, then you're requiring specificity in everything that you do. And sometimes you need that flexibility. So I would propose we leave such as in the language that we have.
Echo the judge. If there was a change made, I imagine there was a thought process in that change. I don't see a thought process to changing it now.
Yeah, no, I personally don't remember thought process when that was made, if any, but it exists, and the LRC, of course, said, hey, this is something you can do. Of course, it's not something that they require. And then when I do end up going before the committee, if there are any questions about why we chose to not remove it, of course, I'll feed to them what it is we're talking about today. Flexibility.
The commissioners suggested flexibility.
Any others?
Need to vote on that?
Eric? I don't think we need to vote on it. We've already sent it up as proposed, so we're just not accepting the LRC's change.
Fair enough. I will report back. Should be up there next month to have that discussion. Okay. As far as the rest of the report goes, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them, but I would like to ask for a motion to enter closed session to discuss pending litigation.
Is there a motion for us to adjourn to executive session?
Motion.
To
Second.
discuss proposed pending litigation.
Motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss pending and proposed litigation.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning to the executive session, say aye, or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. We're now in executive session and ask only